Are you being watched at work? On this episode of Digital Today, we will discuss digital surveillance in the workplace. This issue was first brought to my attention a few months ago when a friend working hybrid at an accounting firm told me that he had to move his computer mouse every 5 minutes from 9 a.m. to 5 p.m., except for during his 30-minute lunch break, even if he had no work left to do, or else he would be penalized. This was astounding to me. As a young professional, I immediately became concerned about the implications this type of surveillance would have on myself and our society. In an increasingly digital world, workplace surveillance and algorithmic management is becoming extremely common. Nguyen from Data and Society explains, surveillance and control by algorithm is the future of work, and it is currently tipping the balance of power further away from workers. There are both advocates and opponents to this type of workplace surveillance. Proponents argue that technology increases efficiency, accountability, work output, and it can even help recognize hard workers. On the other hand, opponents argue that this monitoring is intrusive and violates several basic human rights. The concerns that come with digital surveillance in the workplace are extensive. New technology is constantly being developed and implemented to track workers. Although this surveillance has the biggest and most harmful impact on minimum wage workers, it is now moving into higher paying jobs as well. Workplace surveillance systems collect data about worker activities through handheld devices, mobile phones, fingerprint scanners, fitness apps, smart cameras, body sensors, and more. These systems and the data that they collect are now driving management decisions, which were previously made by humans. The issue with this is that it is nearly impossible to argue with algorithms. This places workers at a big disadvantage, especially since most of the time they are not informed of what data is being collected about them and how it is evaluating them. Workers are often expected to take responsibility for protecting themselves. But this is impossible when they are not given the necessary information on how their data is being collected and used. This creates an invisible power imbalance between workers and companies. Furthermore, these surveillance systems can violate basic human rights, including rights to privacy, non-discrimination, and safety. Workers' privacy is violated by these intrusive systems. As stated before, they are not properly informed about the extent to which they are being surveilled. Some workers are now not only being tracked in the workplace, but also in the home through various applications. Additionally, various systems can harm the safety of workers. For example, Amazon implemented a video game called Mission Racer, which makes workers compete to see who can fulfill orders the fastest. This and similar systems have caused an increase in the injury rate for warehouse workers as they feel pressured to work faster. Issues of discrimination and bias can also be perpetuated through these technologies. These systems can be used to profile workers along racial or ethnic lines and single them out for additional tracking. Algorithmic decisions can affect these workers' lives and career chances. Ultimately, this is an extremely relevant issue that must be addressed in our increasingly digital world. If regulations are not put in place, employees will continue to suffer. There are currently laws in a few states regarding these monitoring tools, but there are no federal laws. Thus, employers have few legal limits on their surveillance practices, and workers have limited privacy rights. This creates an unfair situation for workers. To ensure the safety, privacy, and equality of workers, federal laws must be put into place. These laws must call for increased restriction, transparency, accountability, and evaluation. Organizations must be held accountable and penalized for violating human rights and the laws put into place. Since our world becomes more technologically based every day, action must be taken now to protect employees.